What is going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be talking about a new feature in the world of Lambda, which is Docker or container support. This is a feature that was announced at the end of December 2020. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the feature, talk generally about how this feature works from the user perspective, and then finally, I'm going to go over some gotchas or things that you should know about if you're thinking about using Docker with Lambda. Now, before we get into that, I just want to thank my sponsor for this video, which is Cast AI. Cast AI is a company that specializes in cost reduction and DevOps tools for your Kubernetes workloads. The service uses artificial intelligence to handle pod autoscaling, instance type shuffling, and other techniques that are focused on lowering your cloud bill 50 to 90%. Cast AI supports multiple cloud providers at once and generic dashboarding tools that help you visualize the state of your system at any time across all of your cloud providers. Applications orchestrated through Cast AI are protected against outages by harnessing the power of multiple cloud providers at once. You can give Cast AI a try using free AWS and GCP credentials with the free trial link in the description section of this video. All right, so let's get started. And first of all, I want to talk about just in general Lambda and Docker. Traditionally, we think about Lambda functions as writing code without servers. And now we're introducing another component here, which is Docker. And if you've used Docker before, you know that it's all about containers, and containers generally run on servers. So we're kind of getting into this hybrid model with this new feature of AWS Lambda, where we're kind of blurring the line between what serverless is anymore. And this new feature is particularly great for those of you that are already invested in the world of containers. So if your organization or your company already uses containers quite a bit, or if you're looking to port over some application or some code that already exists in another system, Lambda is finally going to be a viable candidate for now, since it now supports Docker containers. Now, there have been some new features that have been launched alongside this announcement. And some of them allows for local testing with the runtime emulator. So if you're familiar with using something like SAM, serverless application model, or serverless, you're probably quite comfortable with running your Lambda applications from your console and just testing them out before they hit production. Now with Lambda and Docker, using this runtime emulator, you can accomplish the same thing. So you can essentially test out your Lambda functions in your Docker environment prior to pushing your code and prior to deploying them to your environment. Now, the neat thing about using Docker with Lambda is that the base images are provided, or you have the option of building your own. The base images support all your common runtime languages that you would think. So languages like Python, Go, Java, .NET, or Ruby are also supported. Now, what I thought was particularly neat about this new announcement is that it unlocks new use cases on Lambda. Now, this is particularly due to the increase in package size that you're able to deploy as part of your Lambda function. Previously, this was limited to 250 megabytes, but if you've ever used some libraries for data processing or machine learning, you probably already know that some of these dependencies can be really large and sometimes exceed 250 megabytes. So because of this, the fact that it supports now up to 10 gigabytes, it unlocks these new use cases. You can pull in all these different dependencies now to do whatever you're trying to do using Lambda. So super neat feature. So let's move on now to talk about how this new feature works from a practical perspective. So it starts with you go and write your code. Let's just assume in this example that you're writing a very simple Node.js app. So you would write up that application and then you'd have some index.js file or some entry point. So this is the key here. You still need to define an entry point to your Lambda function. Typically, it's just called app.handler or handler, and it can take in your event context. From there, you go ahead and you create your Docker file. Now, a very simple Docker file for this hypothetical example could be something like this. And you can see in the first line, we are using the base image here for the Node.js runtime. Keep in mind that if you want to use your own base image, that is possible, but if you do that, it means you need to implement the runtime client interface, which is a little bit of extra work, not impossible, but just be aware of what you're getting into if you choose to not use the provided base images. On the second line, we're just copying over some files. On the third line, we're running npm install to pull all of our dependencies in. And on the fourth line, we're defining the name of the file in which our handler is located, followed by the name of the function that is the Lambda handler. So from there, you would build an image and upload that image into Amazon ECR. And if you've never used ECR before, it stands for Elastic Cloud Repository. Those of you that are already using Docker with ECS are probably quite familiar with this already. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward. You go ahead and go to the Lambda function console, create a new function. There's a new option now to base your function off of a container, and gives you some autocomplete so that you can easily select the image that you just uploaded. So it's super easy and straightforward and only takes a couple of minutes. So from there, let's just talk about some quick gotchas or things that you should know about if you're thinking about using Docker with Lambda. And so the first one is that, as I mentioned before, there is now a 10 gigabyte maximum image size. The second point is that existing features are all still usable. So things like X-ray, things like logs, things like metrics, things like provision concurrency, all that stuff works out of the box with Lambda and Docker without having to do any extra work. So that's great to see. And my third point is that there's no additional cost for using this functionality. And I have an asterisk there just to point out that there is a very, very small cost to store your images in ECR, but it's pretty tiny and pretty negligible, but just something that you should be aware of so you don't get a surprise bill. Overall, Docker and Lambda is a great choice for those of you that are already invested in the world of containers. However, if you're already satisfied with your existing workflow, if you're using something like serverless or something like SAM to build and deploy your applications, then there's no reason to switch. You're not missing out on a lot. So if you like this video, look forward to the next one where I'm going to show you a walkthrough of how to set this up and how to create a toy application. And if you want to learn more about Lambda, check out this playlist on the right. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time.